Wrestling fans, welcome into Fabulous Wrestling Talk AEW. We are talking about AEW Revolution. Of course, I cannot do that without. I am Jeremy York from Impact Media. I cannot do that without my tag team partner from Hometown Sports Media. He is Clay Harden. How are you?
I am worn out from back-to-back busy weekends, but I got another night to sleep before we start it all over again next week, so I'll be all right.
Yep, exactly. I thought I was going to have two open weekends, and I've been busier than when I'm actually booked to do things.
Look, the last weekend, you showed up at my house at 8. We watched the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, on Saturday, I got up at 3:30, went fished a tournament. Got home from that, went car shopping with my youngest one. Got up at 7 o'clock Sunday morning and went to Talladega. Stayed there all day till I got home at 7:50. You got here at 8 and watched the pay per view until almost midnight. So then I started off. Monday I was behind on my sleep, so to say, for lack of a better term.
Exactly. And that's kind of a good way to start into this card. Obviously, if you guys want to follow the show, if you're not following us on any of the social medias, uh easiest way to find us, go to YouTube, impact_media_. It's very easy. You can general search on anything and find not only Clay, you can also find Hometown Sports Media. I implore you, whether you follow me or not, you should be following them. They're doing way cooler stuff than I'm doing. But it felt like part of this card was lacking a little bit of sleep, and I think that's a good way to start on it. There was a few things. This thing played out. If you saw our preview show, this is about exactly what we said. We obviously didn't see the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn lose the belts to the Bullet Club Gold, but we absolutely predicted that. It's been nice seeing them carry them around all week. They're going to finally marry those belts together, and that's one less thing that's going to keep Ring of Honor on air.
Yeah, and they're phasing them out. There's certain titles like Kyle Fletcher's got the TV title. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. But that's just one way to unify those particular belts. And I'm sure at
Mhm.
some point they're going to do it with the tag team titles as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, though, good for Bullet Club Gold. I think they're the better trio. It's about time Billy Gunn kind of ride off into the sunset. It's cool to see him face off with his kids, but his kids don't need him anymore. And luckily, we didn't see this other match either. That was uh, Matt Sydal versus Trent Beretta. That basically just led to another garage parking lot match this week that was completely useless between the former best friends, and I'm kind of glad we didn't see this match.
Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like they said we need somebody for Chuck to wrestle. So let's bring in
Yeah,
Matt Sydal, who only wrestles like occasionally on TV. Most of the time he's on Dark or Elevation,
yeah.
and it didn't make any sense.
No, it didn't. Um, let's see other
I
matches.
hate filler matches.
Yeah, if you got four strong matches, give me four strong matches. I don't need 8 matches, 10 matches. Don't fill out the 3 hours that way. Instead of everybody having 15 minutes, say everybody's got 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I would have liked to seen Brian Danielson and Will Ospreay go another 30 minutes.
Well, let's instead of going down the card because I got them listed in a weird order anyway. Let's start right there with that one. Um, what were your overall takeaways from that matchup? And you had a little bit of an update on that injury at the end, but it looked pretty legitimate at least the day it happened.
So I've read several reports that says that he was not really injured. He was just overselling the Thunder Driver. What exactly does Ospreay call that thing? Tiger Driver.
It's not even him. It's what New Japan and in the indie world and Excalibur call it, Tiger Driver 97 or something like that.
Yes. Okay. So he's overselling it on the to try to help sell the fact that Will Ospreay is going to stop using the move.
Yeah,
So that was part. Will felt so bad about injuring Danielson that he's going to completely stop using the move. And then we saw a little bit of it on Wednesday night when he was going to go for it, and then he stopped midway through it. Ended up in a leg lock or something. But that's just
Yeah.
part of that. According to Brian Danielson, that's just part of the storyline.
Well, that's good. I hope Danielson's not hurt because his, retirement tour has been really fantastic. If Osprey is going to use that move only once ever in the rest of his entire career, I hope it's on Don Callis.
Yes, I think that's where it's going.
If you're going to bust it out, I guess they're friends now. But if he ever turned on Tony Khan, not that anybody would ever do that. I mean, he could do it on him, I guess.
At some point, he's going to break away from the Callis family. I hope he takes Kyle Fletcher with him, and
I
and
wouldn't.
and making Takeshita part of the Callis family was dumb too. Like he was pretty over the face, and he didn't even really have a good heel turn other than he walked out with Don Callis.
Right.
Like if you're gonna turn heel, give me a Trent Beretta type
Yeah.
heel turn.
Yeah. At least we give Trent that kind of credit. He did it right, and we completely believe he is no longer with the best friends, and he is on his own.
Yep, that's what I want. If you're gonna do a heel turn, beat the crap out of somebody and have a real heel turn.
The
Kind of
Don
like
Callis
Jericho.
family only. Yeah. Go ahead.
Jericho finally had against Hook had his heel turn. He used the bat and everything. So, if you're going to turn heel, have a real true heel turn, not just walk out with Don Callis.
Exactly. Last thing on the Callis family, I was going to say is the only person that benefited besides Don Callis was Powerhouse Hobbs. It actually built him into a little bit more of a monster, but I don't think he needed Callis to do that.
No, he didn't. I'm not sure they like. I like Don Callis. I like the character he plays.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish they had a little more stronger characters than Takeshita, who cannot cut a promo because he can't speak English, and Power Hobbs, who can't cut a promo just because he can't cut a promo.
No. I mean, he probably needs help ordering at Wendy's. So,
Probably so. He's
but
like Brock Lesnar. He needs to stick to wrestling and less talking.
yeah, I mean that's why Brock did so well in the UFC is he really only had to talk when he won, and that was about half the time. So by then, it didn't matter. He could say whatever he wanted.
That's right. That's right.
But you mentioned Hook versus Jericho. Uh, that match was okay. We didn't think it would be that great, and the best part of it, honestly, like you said, probably was that heel turn that involved Taz, that involved everything, and we weren't going to believe Jericho as a heel turn unless he did something like that. So point made.
Yeah, and then they furthered the heel turn on Dynamite when Big Bill came out and asked to be led under the what do they call it now, the learning tree.
The learning tree, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I like that.
his 12th nickname since he's been in AEW.
I mean, he comes up with one about every other month, and for some reason it sells. It's a new shirt, basically.
Yes, and he's very good at it. Been doing this a long time.
And I would say that if Bill sticks close enough to Jericho on and off screen, he might have a bigger belt around his waist in the next year or so.
Yep, I agree. How can he not? He's 6'8" or 9, 300 pounds, and he's chiseled.
And he can talk.
Yeah, no, you got to do something with him.
Yeah, he was actually being slowed down by Ricky Stark, so that injury kind of helped him.
He was also misused in the WWE too.
Mm-hmm.
They had no idea what to do with him.
No,
Hey, let's stick him with a 5'4" midget, and
who
let
can
that
talk?
guy do all the talking.
Yeah, that guy continues to run his mouth at the wrong times, and that's why that guy's not employed right now.
He is funny though.
Oh, he is. He's very funny, but he doesn't know how to turn the gimmick off, and that's what gets him in trouble.
That is true.
But by now everybody knows the winners of these things. That's why we'll just keep breaking them down because obviously we know Osprey won. Obviously we know Jericho won. Let's go to the opening match of the entire card. This is the one I got there a little late, but still got to see a bunch of this match. Okada versus Pac. They basically had a New Japan style match where it was just constantly let's see who can beat the other one down the most. And we knew that Okada had a championship. He wasn't going to lose it. But I think Pac went away, probably doubled his fan base because everybody respected what he did.
I like that match because it was just 20 minutes of high spots.
Mm-hmm.
High spot after high spot after high spot after high spot. And that's, I grew up in the era where everybody had a finisher, and if you ever hit that finisher, it was over.
Yep.
Now you hit finishers, all through the match. And this was
Mm-hmm.
nothing but 20 minutes of finishers. And it was pretty entertaining. Yep. Pac can go, Okada can go, which Okada seems to be, in my opinion, this may be his last big run. He's in his late 30s, early 40s now. He may be in his early 40s already. So with the type of matches he's been doing his whole career, like they do in Japan, he's not going to have a long run in AEW.
Yeah, because even though he's technically the Ric Flair of the faction he's in, he's the heavyweight guy in his faction. He's not the leader of that faction, so he's pretty much riding this out, and I'm glad for him. He had a good career.
Yeah, it's been a good career.
But let's see, we'll get to those other people in a minute. Let's kind of get this one out of the way. Roddy versus Kyle O'Reilly. It kind of looked like it. I really hoped it would be when the two of them went at it in either NXT or Ring of Honor years ago, but instead it was Kyle looked really rusty. His kicks are really solid, and Roddy was going to come away with the win anyway.
Yeah, Roddy can talk better than he can wrestle. Kyle can wrestle better than he can talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't looking forward to that match at all.
No.
It was okay. Now, O'Reilly was in the, what do they call that thing Wednesday night? The gauntlet, the casino gauntlet.
He put on a show.
Now, he looked really good in that match. So maybe he's working some of that ring rust off.
Well, he did. He cut like 2/3 of his hair off. He doesn't look like a caveman anymore. So maybe that's what was holding him down.
It may have been. It may have been. But he looked a lot better than in that match. And it may have been who he was working with. He got to work with Will Ospreay in that match. He got to work with Penta in that match.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it was just the competition he was working with was a little better. Now, and don't get me wrong, I like Roddy. Like Roderick Strong is out of the ring is very entertaining.
Yeah. And honestly, the biggest moment of this entire match was watching Adam Cole shoot Wardlow a look that he kind of continued throughout the week. And that's kind of playing into, I have a whole different theory that when the champion, because we haven't talked about it yet, when the champion loses out to some part of Undisputed Kingdom, I don't know that it could necessarily be Wardlow, or if it is, what's the odds that he flips and actually helps MJF when he comes back?
There's some angle going on here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. They're making a rift between Cole and Wardlow. They're trying to make it very obvious.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they want us to lead us to believe that Wardlow's going to side with MJF when he comes back and then flip again, like do a double cross.
He could.
Or if he's really going to help MJF. But there's some reason they're trying to create rift between Adam Cole and Wardlow for whatever reason.
I mean, probably Wardlow's kind of lack of execution recently, for one.
Well, you got to remember, everything's a work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hopefully he was doing it on purpose, because if he was accidentally not having the world's best day, then more power to him.
Just you have to tell yourself a lot. Just remember.
Yeah.
And I tell a coworker of mine, he watches a lot of these videos on like Facebook and YouTube, and he was watching one this past Tuesday and was asking me about it. It was from an independent show, and I said, just remember, everything's work. So then we found out that they're actually going to have a match, and I can't tell it because it's not out yet. But anyway, everything's a work. Just remember that.
Yep. Anytime you're near a wrestling show, you got to think it's part of the show unless otherwise noted.
Yes, everything in wrestling is a work.
Yep.
And when it's not a work, you
Uh,
can tell because they completely shut down everything and
yeah.
get like real professional medical professionals out there to take care of it. That's when you know it's not a work.
Right. Or you see random people that you thought were fans who are actually kind of backup security completely tackle and maul somebody.
Yes, that would not be a work.
Yep. Those are kind of fun to watch sometimes.
Yes, they are. There's a whole compilation
Uh,
on YouTube, by the way.
yeah. I saw one at the at last independent show I went to. It's a whole. I think I told you about it. It was interesting. It ended up it wasn't quite as crazy as it could have been, but that guy got real lucky that some pros grabbed him before some of the amateur guys got a hold of him.
One of the best ones ever was from the '90s. A fan jumped the ring and started attacking one of the. I remember who it was in the ring, and Scott Steiner grabbed him from behind and almost killed him.
That sounds a lot like Scott Steiner.
That was probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I bet that guy never talked to anybody again.
You probably won't never jump in a ring with a bunch of roided up professional wrestlers again.
Nope. Uh, I'll give him credit. Julia versus Willow was a way better match than Tony versus Thunder Rosa. They played out exactly how we thought they would. And Willow takes the belt. We knew it needed to come off of Julia. Where do you see this division kind of going with that?
They're gonna put the belt on Sasha Banks or whatever her name is. I'm like I said, I've read her contract, and that was part of it. She was getting a title. It didn't say which title, but she was getting a title within like the first 90 days. So we're coming up on that pretty quick. They're gonna wrestle it all in. They signed the contract on Monday night, Wednesday night on
Hmm.
Dynamite. So I look for Mercedes to win it then, which is dumb, and I don't even know why she's there, but it's whatever.
What couldn't they make up a title? An FTW for the women's division. Just give it to her for long enough to she's happy,
Yeah,
and then rip it away from her.
yeah, that's what they should have done because at some point she's not going to be happy with where her booking's at or something in the back in the locker room. So it's not going to last. She never lasts anywhere she's ever been.
Nope. Her ego barely fits in the door. Last I heard.
But if you remember, the match between Willow and Julia just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So they had to find a reason to give Willow the belt so she can drop it to Mercedes.
Well, like we said, Julie had kind of reached kind of the end of the pier, so to say, and you needed that bridge to get to Mercedes. So the likely one was Willow because Willow and Mercedes have a little bit of beef from New Japan stuff.
Right, which is why they wanted Willow to have the belt so they could jump on
Hmm.
that story train. I will say
Yep.
this though, Julia was way better than I thought she was going to be when she first won that title.
Oh
She's
yeah.
come a long way. Now she just needs to go back doing weird crap for House of Black.
Her and Sky Blue need to continue to pair up. It's working.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And like we said, Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa was about
Boring.
like uh, about like watching amateur fireworks. That just from your local Walmart or something. There wasn't a whole lot to it. Thank goodness Tony Storm drug them through that match. She actually had a better match this week with whoever she faced. I can't remember who she faced, but it was good, whatever it was. Um, Anna Jay from she's a local girl, Brunswick, Georgia, I think. But Anna Jay is
Yeah.
the one that's come out of nowhere, and I like that she gets featured more, but she's always the one that loses. So they got to do something about that.
Well, she was featured at on Dynamite because they were in Jacksonville, which is only about 40 minutes from Brunswick, so she had a lot of
Yep.
family there. The only reason
Yep.
she's on the card, but I wish they'd work her more because she's actually a good worker.
Yeah. She can work. I mean, she's kind of good cannon fodder for some of the bigger ones because she can actually play into it and make it a good match and not a squash. I hate squash matches.
Yes, me too. Can't stand them.
As this guy said, they don't help anybody. They don't make somebody look stronger because you beat the weaker person. You're basically telling the audience, we don't care what you think.
Correct. Which is why when Wardlow came back from his injury, he had like 6 squash matches in a row against people we've never heard of, and that makes no sense to me.
Well, I'd heard a couple of them just because they're indie people that were in the area. But other than that, other than knowing that, some other indie guy that I know has faced them, yeah, I didn't know who in the world they were.
But it didn't make Wardlow look any more dominant.
No.
Which,
Like I said, you basically.
they did that with Hobbs for about a year, where all he had was squash matches.
And where'd that get him? Nowhere. But now to one of the, I'd say one of the better matches. And what happened in the end of this match actually is what caused the end of Dynamite that we're going to probably get into right after this match. Because this was the Young Bucks versus FTR in a ladder match. This was the only one that they actually got over on us a little bit, because we were like, well, there's no way the Young Bucks are going to take this. Clearly, somehow, FTR is going to overcome not being on ladders much, and they'll take a big fall, and then they'll get the belts. And then Jack Perry shows up and causes the Young Bucks to win, and now he's the fourth member of their faction.
Well, what made that match so great was, and it was a good match. I wouldn't say it was a great match. It was a good match.
Yeah.
As far as the action to the end, but the ending when Dax got pushed off the ladder by someone in a hoodie, and the kudos to the security guys playing security guards, they sold it perfectly. I thought it popped for a second. I thought maybe it was a fan ran in the ring and did it.
But when they stopped and did the hook thing in the corner like this, I went, oh, that's a pro.
Yes, until I realized that it was actually Jack Perry. And I think I told you it was Jack Perry before they unmasked him. But to start with, they first sold it like it was actually an actual fan running the ring, which I thought was a pretty good job of the guys playing security guards.
Because as you remember, like you said, I was at your house watching this. I was actually thinking the same. I may have said, I was like, is that a fan? And then when you said, I thought it was, but look at who grabbed him. Those are the two most prominent security guys for AEW that we see. They come out with Private Party, and they're always the ones around ringside. I was like, okay, when AEW's guys grab you, yeah, you're part of the show.
Yeah. And it turned out being Jack Perry, and I think it's a great time to bring him back. It's a great spot to bring him back in. And I'm kind of glad he's staying a heel and teaming up with the Elite.
And I actually, he went with that whole scapegoat gimmick when he went to New Japan. I think he legitimately took one for the team, that they explained to him, hey, we got to make an example. This is going to be a way to get Punk out the door. What you're basically going to get, we're going to say you got suspended, or that you're not allowed. We're going to send you to New Japan where you can get some fresh people, really work on some stuff. And then when we bring you back, here's the plan. And he was like, I'm in. Way better than anything I was doing.
Yep, I agree. And I think they hit a home run with this one, because he's going to be like Okada's the one that don't belong in that group.
Oh, he sticks out bad.
Yes, like Okada don't make a really good heel. The Young Bucks are great heels. Jack Perry is as big as a face as he was, and as over as he was in the crowd. I'm shocked that he's made as good a heel as he has, but he has.
Yeah, I thought he was almost in John Cena territory, where he was so good at being a fan favorite that he couldn't figure out how to get hated, but he figured that out.
Yep, he is getting real heat, and then after beating up Tony Khan, now he's getting real heat.
Oh yeah, because he's the one that started that, and we'll go into that. We got about 6.5 minutes to go. Obviously, Samoa Joe versus Swerve. Swerve got his belt. This was a really good match between two guys that are really good at working. Swerve has already defended his belt against Claudio, which I thought was equally as good against what he did with Samoa Joe. It's Swerve's house for now.
Swerve defended on Wednesday night against Kyle Fletcher.
Oh yeah, he did that too. So he's had two. Yeah.
I like Joe a lot, but I don't like he's boring.
He is.
And I'm glad that somebody like Swerve has the belt now. Somebody that's charismatic that can cut a promo. He's got a cool little, saying that the fans can chant and get behind him. And so I think I think he's earned it. I think it's a good fit for him, and I'm glad he's the man right now. And I'm saying right now because at some point, the real man's coming back.
Yep, absolutely. But since we got about 5 minutes left, let's get into the end of Dynamite because, like I said, I told you I came in late and I actually caught the last 5 minutes of this and immediately ran over and hit play on the DVR and started watching the entire show because I wanted to see it get to this, and that's Jack Perry and Tony Khan are in the ring. They are holding each other arm in arm. Oh, Jack Perry's back. I reinstate him. He's a good guy. We're in good standing again. And then Jack Perry, as soon as I saw the hit, he took the microphone, hit him basically right in the solar plexus, right underneath his ribs. Looked like good gut shot to Tony Khan, who folded like a cheap suit. I think Khan has always wanted to be in the ring and always want to take a shot. Young Bucks run down there. Okada runs out there. They're like, whoa, you can't do that. And Okada legitimately looks like he has no idea what's going on. The Young Bucks start to grab Khan. It looked like they were going to do the double knee shot. Instead, Okada looks at him and says, Meltzer driver. And so we got to see the Meltzer driver on Tony Khan. And they sold this so well that even his dad, Shad Khan, come down. And I was rolling in the floor when I saw Shad Khan standing in the ring.
Well, all that's been paid for with his money anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get the family involved, that's when you really sell it.
Oh,
and I knew at some point, it's been a little over 4 years now. I knew at some point Khan was going to take a bump.
Yep.
And he took a heck of a bump Wednesday night. That's a heck of a spot.
Yeah, he did. Although I will say that the way the Young Bucks had him for the driver, that actually the Jack Perry punch probably hurt more in the long run. But yeah, that Meltzer driver, even though they got you pretty well, you're still going to take some shoulder damage.
I don't know if this is going on. So this is opposite of what we saw in 98, 99 between Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin, where the CEO is the heel and the wrestler's the face. Now the wrestler's the heel and the CEO's the face. I don't know if it's going to get over with the fans as much as that did, but I do like the angle. I do like the story that they're about to tell.
Well, it's going to come down to who Tony Khan uses to defend him against this. Now, for a while, it's just going to be them, just beating him down or them constantly bullying him and stuff like that. But at some point, he'll build up his army, and you'll have the 4-on-4 there or something like that. But they have to be careful that they don't become the bigger heel faction than Undisputed Era for when MJF comes back.
Or if they do, then MJF comes back to defend Tony.
I could see that too.
For as much heat as he gave Tony and some of the promos he cut in the last year or two, that would throw everybody a curveball if MJF was the one to come back and actually defend Tony.
Who else would you pair up with MJF? Because you got to have 4-on-4 here.
Maybe FTR.
Oh, even better. What if for this one time only to defend Tony Khan in some War Games match, they have half a dozen of these, you drop Wardlow and you use the rest of Undisputed Era when Adam Cole's back as well, and they agree to disagree only to defend Khan to knock them down, and then they can go back at each other.
I don't. That probably would work, but I wouldn't like it because when MJF comes back, they got which I hate the fact that MJF had to leave when this just started because had he been able to be on TV the next Wednesday, the heat that the Undisputed Kingdom had was amazing. Well, since MJF's not there, that heat's kind of worn off.
And since Adam Cole just came back, it's almost got forgotten.
Right. So I'm saying it's more like the heat lasted for one night, and now it's gone.
Yep.
So I don't know if at the end of the day it'll probably be somebody like the Acclaimed or somebody. That's who Tony will use. I don't know. I feel like they'll find some way to mess this one up too. I
It'll
know
be
I'm pessimistic.
Top
I know.
Flight and Action Andretti. That's who it'll be.
Top Flight and Action Andretti. The same Action Andretti that Jericho tried to put over.
Yeah, that one.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, they can't even get over now. But got about 30 seconds to go. So final thoughts on AEW Revolution.
Other than 3 matches, it was pretty boring, and I hope they find better storylines to plug into All In, which is coming up in this month. All right.
Yep.
So hopefully they get in a little better one next time.
Yep. And my final thought is I am looking forward to see where Tony Khan versus the Young Bucks is going to go, because I think Kenny Omega is going to be involved. We forgot about him. But other than that, from Hometown Sports Media, he is Clay Harden, my tag team partner. I am Jeremy York from Impact Media. We'll see you guys next time on Fabulous.